FPUC, retro, escalated, UI, PUA. How do you get these things? In this overnight LALATE video, I go over unemployment to ensure you get all the big money you really deserve. FPUC retro will be a big issue of contention under the Biden administration. 20 weeks retro at $600 a week is what he promised. But will he deliver? And if he doesn't deliver, how do you get UI or PUA retro? How do you get anything escalated? Or how do you get anything going forward? In this throwback video, I go over all these simple questions and simple answers to common problems for UI, PUA, and FPUC. Enjoy this overnight LALATE video on unemployment. As FPUC, that $600 from the federal government, is about to expire, several members of state assemblies are stepping up and getting their citizens payments right away. Hey everybody, this is the second stimulus check and stimulus package update for today. As always, our third stimulus package update, this one about PUA and UI, with really great news about what one state assembly person is doing for their citizens and why you should actually reach out to your assembly person if you are having a similar problem. This is really one of the great news. As you know, this channel is never partisan and we are always detailing the bad and the worst from both sides of the political aisle. But here's something great and really inspiring, how one state assembly member has done incredible work and why it should inspire you to reach out to your state assembly member if you have not gotten your PUA or UI benefits. Earlier today, we delivered two other second stimulus check updates. One about the check, why you should be receiving it, but you should see a vote on it by August 8th. It will cover SSDI and SSI. That was the topic of the first video. Second video was a shocking new development about really the key concern of a second stimulus package when it comes to hazard pay and why you should see $10,000 landing if you're an essential worker for retroactive benefits. Wow. But let's get right to this video, which is about PUA and UI. And let me go over first the nuance that everyone is talking about. It is FPUC. As you know, FPUC is what pays that $600 per week on top of UI and PUA benefits. As this channel has been very diligent in doing the last couple of days, is reminding you the $600 from the federal government is not PUA. It is not called PUA. The $600 from the federal government is not called PUA. It's called FPUC. It's on top of your weekly benefits for UI. And it's on top of your weekly benefits for PUA. As you know, UI is for employees or former employees. PUA is for independent contractors or former independent contractors. That $600 from the federal government, FPUC, it expires in late July. So this channel has been very, very vocal in saying that it believes that it's going to be extended. The question is what's going to happen around that middle week of late July? Because this channel has been detailing that you're going to see a second stimulus package approved around August 8th, if not on August 8th. Why? Because that's the date that members of Congress go on vacation again. If it's approved on August 8th, well, then you'll have a few weeks, a few days of FPUC expiring and not being paid. So there is other concerns that maybe the Federal Reserve, which ultimately pays for FPUC, Jerome Powell, will extend it, or the White House will extend it by emergency order. Steve Mnuchin, both of them are testifying before members of Congress on Tuesday. But let me get to this really important facet that I never saw coming. This channel has been detailing the importance of reaching out to senators, reaching out to House representatives, if you're having problems with EIDL grants or EIDL loans or PPP or something like that. And I simply forgot, and I apologize, the state representatives, state assembly people. And here, one person, and I'm going to applaud her, and I want you to applaud her too, but I also want you to do the same in your state, if this is not your state. Her name is Assembly Member Tasha Boner Horvath, and she represents the 76th District of California, representing Camp Pendleton, Oceanside, Vista, Carlsbad, and Encinitas. She has been stepping up and getting her constituents PUA and UI benefits from a state in which they are backed up due to backlogs of their systems. If you don't know, PUA and UI is paid in California through a system called EDD. This channel, as you also know, launched on around April 24th, April 25th, and we were doing PUA on our very first day. I was standing before an empty beach of Hermosa Beach recording how to apply for PUA. What is PUA? I was going through this thing that no one had ever heard about because it had just been passed in the CARES Act. And I said, hey, PUA is going to be administered by your state unemployment offices. They have never done it before because it's brand new. And I said, expect problems. I also said, get it in early. I also finally said that the application window generally opens around April 28th. Sadly, this channel wasn't that big at that point. We had, 100 viewers a day or something compared to, 200,000 a day now or something around those lines. And so a lot of people didn't apply for PUA initially, even though that they qualified at that time. So when those windows open for PUA in some states on April 28th, which was the case in California, people flooded in. What I was asked those initial few days, I'm still being asked actually now, is how quickly checks come, how quickly payments come. Those numbers apparently are just horrible. Initially, what was happening was processing times, if you were applying for PUA or UI, were very, very quick. Approval of the claim would take about 7 days. Then when you certify for benefits on a weekly basis, then it would immediately show payments processing. It would take about another 7 days to get your debit card. Viewers of this channel were detailing. That's in California, they do it by debit card. And then about 7 days after that, you would get funded. But what's great news, the viewers of this channel detail, was that, hey, once you had gone through that, each time you certified for weekly benefits going forward, those payments would land in the debit card overnight. Now, of that entire system, everything has changed. The only thing that hasn't changed is that if you have gotten payments, if you've gotten a card, if you've already been routed, the processing times in all states from certifying your benefits to getting the payments is relatively fast. That still is about anywhere from 1 to 3 days. From the day of certification of your weekly benefits to getting paid, getting the funds in your bank account is about 1 to 3 days. What is really bad for processing times for PUA and UI is getting claims approved. So this is people who are recently furloughed, recently found out about PUA, recently infected by COVID-19, qualified for PUA, or anyone, who is just now unfortunately lost their job and need UI. And so those people are now coming to the computer systems of every state and applying. And what's happening? It's a hot mess. This channel has basically detailed before it started to, pick up traction among viewers. Thank you for all your new viewers, about thousands new subscribers a day. But before that, we were detailing hacks. There were all these security breaches in several states. At one point, I think we were up to 5 states that had security breaches. That backlogged all these processing times. That backlog is still there. Texas was really one of the worst ones on getting PUA benefits paid. Florida, Georgia, I'm still hearing problems. I talked about Nevada and Hawaii for weeks at a time. Illinois, there were all these states that had problems. Upstate New York had a hack as well. But those hacks are now gone, thank God. The problem is that the processing times are backed up. And what this representative has said is that she is personally, her staff is personally helping her constituents get their PUAs and UIs processed. Why? One, in California, like many other states, the call center to get UI representatives on the phones are just simply not answering. They haven't answered since April. So you can't get anyone on the phone. You can't get anyone to help. Two, a lot of people can't even get anything processed, and they need their bills paid right away. So she says my office is opening an average of 50 new cases per week and has helped resolve hundreds since this all began in mid-March. We can help by handling the back and forth with the agency and investigating what's causing the holdups. Our limitation is always that we must rely upon EDD to resolve some of these issues. But some of the most troublesome cases, like when the constituents had not received a response from EDD in over a month, this is again California, I've issued legislative letters to the agency to urge action. Boy, she's great. We will continue to provide these services while continuing to hold the agency accountable until people get the relief they need. Anyone experiencing problems with their unemployment can call my office. Now, as I understand, I have very limited viewers that are in Camp Pendleton, Oceanside, Vista, Carlsbad, and Encinitas. But what I'm clearly shouting out from the high mountains right now is that if you have not received PUA, if you not received UI, if you're in that processing stage, if they're not responding to you, don't just rely upon your senator, don't just rely upon your House representative, rely also upon your state assembly people. And we often don't know who they are, but go on Google, look up, do it by your city, you type in where you live, and look up who that is. And those people have inherent authority to do what this representative does. To be very frank, the system wasn't created to handle the extreme surges we're seeing, she's saying. But that doesn't change the fact that people are hurting. Wow, she has heart too. Many people have been waiting for weeks and months to receive the benefits they are due, and they are right to be frustrated with the situation. Let me give you a perspective. You know, as I said, this channel was dealing with PUA cases before the system launched around April 24th and April 25th. We did PUA videos every single day. When it launched on April 28th, then we continued it out. The viewers of this channel, whether they're California or some of the other states that were good on, I mean, California's actually good, even though her letter says it's bad. They were better than other states that weren't even doing anything. Their processing times were moving along for those initial applicants. So the viewers of this channel who applied in California April 28th were getting processed. They were getting processed relatively fast. They were seeing funds within about a week or 2 weeks. The problem is that a lot of people didn't apply then, and this is the same in every single state, that they're applied later. They applied in early May, mid-May, late May, and that is where the problem has happened. So the problem is that these computer systems are antiquated. Unemployment assistance, state unemployment offices, perhaps it was a mistake of members of Congress to funnel FPUC into state unemployment assistance because they can't support it. Ultimately, what will happen with FPUC? What's going to happen with FPUC, as this channel detailed earlier this week, it runs out in late July. The problem is that the CARES Act says up until that date. So some states may not pay that last week of FPUC for the $600 of the federal government. Some may say may not. The number of weeks for PUA, and this is important, extend beyond late July. PUA is, I think, 33 weeks. So don't worry about your PUA weeks expiring. If you're on UI, don't worry about July. Don't think that July is the week that all your UI benefits cut out either. UI has your own prescribed number of weeks, and that the CARES Act adopted another statute into the CARES Act, into law, called, see if I say this right, FPEUC, that's a lot of letters, which extends the number of UI claim benefits weeks automatically. Third, states have the inherent authority and have exercised the inherent authority in many regards to extend UI benefits additional weeks. So that's all great. So the concern about weeks running out, claim benefit weeks expiring, I don't see that happening currently. What I'm deeply concerned about, and I have hope for the viewers of this channel, is that FPUC, that $600 from the federal government, which does expire in late July, will be extended immediately. The reason why is that things like the Portman Plan, the Brady Plan, don't talk about relief for those types of people. What do I mean? FPUC is for people who can't work. FPUC is for people who can't work. Who are people who can't work? People who have COVID-19. 45,000 new cases last Friday alone in one day. FPUC, $600 from the federal government, pays for people who live with someone that has COVID-19. It pays for people who are unemployed. Department of Labor's number from last Thursday showed 14th consecutive week of 1 million new jobless claims. Next Thursday, we're going to hear the June jobs report. So there's no suggestion of why 600. There's no economic data that supports the ending of the $600. The extension of the FFPUC is absolutely mandatory. We detailed earlier this week as a basic summary that if they did not extend FPUC, financial catastrophe would occur. Why? Because it causes a food chain. You have people who can't make rent, who can't pay utilities. And if you don't pay the $600 and they're left with what? In California, it's a measly $167 per week. No one can live in California on $167 a week for anything. I mean, it's not even enough for food. If you take away that $600 per week, what's going to happen? They're not going to make rent. So if they don't make rent, the landlord is going to have to evict them. The rent moratorium eviction dates in most counties is expiring in July. The landlord evicts them. The landlord doesn't have the rental income that they were hoping to get. Guess what happens to the landlords? A lot of landlords will lose their properties. Those properties will go into foreclosure. Guess what happens? The foreclosure, the mortgage moratoriums, is also expiring in late July. So if the landlords can't make their own mortgage payments, the banks will foreclose. Guess what happens? The banks have a lot of foreclosed properties, which they don't want to have, and they can't pay their own balance sheets. So it just keeps on going up the food chain until ultimately there's a big liquidity meltdown. So to say that people don't need the $600, that creates a welfare state of these horrible quotes that Mitch McConnell says, it's just short-sighted. Let me get to some of your 109 PUA questions. Wow, a lot of great PUA questions from yesterday. Jeff Hansen, thank you for supporting this channel, Jeff. Well done, Ellie. Thank you for being smart and adorable and declared by the masses on YouTube. Well, thank you. Janine, we might need to extend the $600. James, they can never cut off this 40 million Americans. Linda, they've been stalling. Nestor, you need to talk about Javita more. Daryl, a question about SSDI. I did that on the other video. Ken, I went as far as emailing Pelosi, McConnell, Schumer about the urgency to extend this. I love that. Thank you, Kevin. Morningstar, Washington State is claiming July 1st ends PUA. News to me. This channel has not reported that. I think it's already financial ruin in the United States, says Kathy. Yellow Jackets, they want to constantly take vacations during a crisis. If they don't help us, boycott. Very well said. If you don't know, they're taking these incredible number of vacations, one in July, one in August 9th. I mean, it's just ridiculous. New Jersey, I did receive PUA. I was waiting for EIDL to come through. Very well said. Irma, well done. Thank you for keeping us informed. Congress should be on vacation now. They should be in session. Jimmy Jam, why don't they give us $600 a week to everyone and not make it just unemployment? I mean, it's very well said. Why make it things so complicated? And, here's the other thing. I have a question. Oh, I forgot to lead on this. One of my big rants I'm about to give right now is the delivery of the $600. The $600 is underwritten by the Federal Reserve, okay? It is not underwritten by the states. It's not states' money. It comes from the Federal Reserve. It comes from the Federal Reserve and is processed through the Treasury. Why are they routing it through states who have antiquated computer systems, overworked staff, low staffing, inability to deliver things by paper check and debit card? Why are they doing it through states? The federal government has the ability to have call centers and check issuances and electronic deliveries. The federal government has all these resources to deliver the $600 per week. Why are they pushing it on the states? It is absolutely abhorrent that FPUC as it is now was delivered through state unemployment offices, which really had no ability to control it. If you don't know, a lot of states in their databases, when you sign into the portal, if you sign into your portal for your UI or PUA benefits, it doesn't even list the $600. Why? Because they don't have computer systems to actually put those entries in there. And a lot of viewers have said, why does the $600 come separate? Because they don't have the ability to even route them sometimes in the same payment as your normal benefits. It's really a hot mess. But this is one of 3 second stimulus check videos today. Earlier today, we detailed really the importance of when the second stimulus check will be approved and the importance of SSDI and SSI. Second, we detailed hazard pay, because a lot of you have been asking about that one as well. And later today, 2 EIDL videos. As always, stay FLA for more.